You talked about having issues with like perfectionism.
Yeah.
How do you deal with that, and what's your journey with it?
Yeah. My journey was that I was stuck in so much fear and self-criticism for so long that I was basically paralyzed. I couldn't make a move because I was so afraid of not being good enough. Perfectionism is really stemmed in that fear of not being good enough and fear of failure and looking stupid and not being liked or accepted by people. And so I'm not a perfectionist, like my house is clean and my dishes are done. I'm a perfectionist of like, I don't want to not be good enough because I so desperately want to be good at what I do and accepted and liked by people. And I think that comes from a deep need for affirmation, which is of course like instinctive for humans, but it's also, I think, maybe particularly strong in artists and creatives because we are extremely sensitive people, which is a beautiful thing, but it can also be a weakness if that's what drives you to be accepted. So it just meant that I was afraid to try anything. I was afraid to like apply for stuff. Rejection was really hard. I applied for a master's program in Cologne over here when I moved, and I got to the last round and I thought it was going to work out and it didn't. And that crushed me. I think for 6 months, I was just like totally devastated. And so I think I had to really learn how to take small steps out of this like very heavy way of thinking that was kind of soul crushing. I got some really good coaching from a girl who works with artists and helps undo these unhealthy mindsets that we pick up along the way. Not being so hard on myself, learning things about self-compassion, learning how to speak to myself gently, learning how to celebrate small steps. I used to roll my eyes at small steps and say, oh, that's pathetic. Like you only practiced an hour, you need to be doing 6 hours. If you're a real pianist, you'd be doing 6 hours a day. Look at these people, look what they're doing. The reason you're not there is because you didn't work hard enough. I mean, all of these little things that we tell ourselves, that's this narrative, learning to shift that very slowly. And it's been a process. Now my career has opened up to the point where it's like extremely exciting. There's lots of great things happening, but like this didn't happen now. It's been the last 2, 3, 4 years of building slowly and looking for possibilities, looking for what's working, finding people around me to speak in a healthy way. I mean, Deanna, my business partner, she's just probably the most compassionate person I know. She's very kind. She's very respectful. She's very positive. And I learned a lot from her self-talk. How does she talk to herself? How does she talk to me? How does she help me when I'm in a negative space or a spiral? And I started to see self-compassion as something that isn't a weakness, but it's actually how you get out of that place where you're stuck. So I used to think being gentle is like a weakness. Like, oh yeah, well, if you were tough enough, you wouldn't need to speak kindly, just get on with it, get to work. But I've had more progress by being gentle and kind with myself, and celebrating, this post Motorella, these 4 questions that I discussed after a performance. Those are ways that I can make small amounts of progress. And so in the moment you might think, hey, yeah, this is nothing, this is not a big deal. But over time it really builds, and you can look back a year ago and say, wow, things have really shifted. This is great. I'm playing at a way different level. I'm a better musician. I'm a better artist. I speak better from the stage. I have a better concept of what the audience likes and needs. I get better feedback. My social media content creation has improved. I have a better relationship with people in my life. And so when you see progress, it just encourages to keep going in that way. So I think it's been a lot about process.
How do you balance being a pianist, a singer, a songwriter, and a business owner?
That's a great question. I have a lot of I'm glued to my calendar, like I mentioned. I've learned a lot of systems in my life to implement where I'm focused on one thing at a time. So sometimes I'm in practicing mode now for 2 or 3 hours. I've like shut off my phone, and then I switch. Okay, now I need to sit down and do emails and administration and tasks like that. I'm in that mode. Or the Fearless Artist, we just launched our brand new website yesterday. So there's been lots of things to do with that, but it's like, okay, I think it's about taking chunks of time and kind of sprinting in that allotted time that you give yourself. So if you only have an hour, you're giving 100% for that hour in that one direction, and then you can switch and do something else. And then like filtering in like really healthy breaks. I have my precious dog beside me, and we're outside like every day. And that's time that I can think. I had someone tell me once, if you don't have time in your schedule to think, you're too busy. So for me, I think being effective is a lot of mental planning in my head before I take any action. I've thought about what do I need to do so that when it's time to move, I move now. Like if we need to get out the door, I'm out the door in 5 minutes, but it's because I've thought so much about it before. And I've noticed that it's in the prep and the planning that is where the strength is.
Do you take your dog when you're on tour?
I can't. No, do you want to see her? She's the best. Yeah. She's just right there. So she luckily gets to stay here because I think she prefers running through the cow fields than she would sitting in a hotel room. But no, I have some really great friends who can watch her for me when I'm gone. And otherwise, if I'm home, she's with me at all times. If I'm in the city, she's with me. So yeah, she's my little support.
That's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we know that you will release a new single soon. I was wondering what we can expect from it, and would it be similar to your first one, or will you tackle a new genre?
Oh, I'm just like so honored that you know so much about my life. This is so nice. You've done your research. I think you know more than some of my closest friends. This is so great. Yes, my new single is going to be called I'm Here. And it's, I guess in the similar genre as like singer-songwriter, right? It's me on the piano. But this one has a beat to it. So it's not like a laid back, it's a little bit more of a upbeat song. And it's really it is related to this perfectionism theme. So the lyrics are about being seen and being vulnerable and allowing people to, social media gives this perspective of people that they want you to see. Like they post what they want to share. So we don't often see the vulnerable side of people. We don't often see the hard work, the tears, the sleeps, the naps, all of the doubts, the questions, the worries. So this song is, the chorus is, let me be real, let me be seen. All of these broken pieces in me belong to you. So that was my expression of my faith to God, to say like, this is who I am. It's not perfect. I don't have all the answers. I don't have this figured out, but I know that you love me and this is what I have. So here I am. I'm going to give you what I have and let's see if it can be anything. And so I'm really excited. I need to start promoting it because it's coming out soon. So I'm really happy you brought it up. And I think it is within my style, which is the vocals on top of the keys and then this cool producer thing that August did.
So the entire album is going to be like that. And do we have a release date yet or not?
So those songs are being released one at a time over the next 6 months. And then I'm recording 3 piano pieces to add to the album. And then at the end, the whole thing will come out and we'll have a huge album release party and invite everyone online too. And it's going to be a lot of fun.
That's awesome. I cannot wait. So you're also the founder of The Fearless Artist. You mentioned it a couple of times before. So it's a platform where other classical musicians can find help with their paths and the business side of music, which can be quite tricky. How did this concept came to you and maybe to Diana? And why is it so important for the both of you to guide others?
Yeah, thanks. That's exactly right. We started this professional development company for classical musicians specifically. We just felt Deanna went to Juilliard and now she lives in Paris. But, we just realized that after school, we did not learn in our education's tools for the real world. We didn't have the business skills. We didn't realize we would become business owners. We didn't learn about marketing and sales and networking and branding and how to put yourself out there. How do you sell yourself as a musician? How do you talk about these things? And so, again, when musicians get out into the real world and they have to kind of fight to find their way, and we just thought, power in community, the power in sharing what we've learned. We are expats, so then making your name in a new culture, new country, you learn some things along the way, and we just felt like there was a lot of power in bringing people into that. We were introduced to the concept of a mastermind through some of her Juilliard colleagues, and we loved the idea. And we just thought we saw so much potential in it to bring this to a wider audience. So we started building it in 2020. And we really just believe in supporting classical musicians, and the power of mastermind is that you bring driven, entrepreneurial minded people into the same room and have conversations. And that's when the sparks and the magic comes, because people share ideas, they get insights, they hear how things work for someone else. It's really powerful to bring successful people together. And that's really what we want to do. We also want to provide, teaching and training about how to do the business side of music, as you said. But then for those who are already well on their way, it's really just about providing them access to a network of people who are thinking like this. And that's where innovation comes in. That's where new ideas are shared. That's where new income streams are dreamed about. And we love it. We're really passionate about that, and supporting classical musicians, because I think one of the worst things is that when they get isolated, you can become really negative and start to have those doubts and fears come in, and ask yourself, what's the point? What's the purpose? Who cares about this? Does it matter what I'm doing? And so I think at that moment, you really need a lot of encouragement and support to tell each other, what you're doing really matters. You're making a difference in the world. You don't need to be famous to make a difference. You don't need to be huge numbers. What matters is that the people around you are impacted by what you're doing. And so let's find a way to make that sustainable. And I think we've seen so many artists do things, build their websites, release their albums, get grants, start concert series, develop their private teaching studio. And we just see the ripple effect of, because we touch this circle, those people touch this, and it's just getting huge. I mean, one of my coaching clients in California really just ran with this whole killing perfectionism. And now she's teaching this to all of her piano students from the beginning, about making mistakes. Failure is forward. We make progress through it. And I'm just thinking, because of the impact, there's like a new generation of kids in California who are coming up with these healthy mindsets, and her entire teaching studio. And really, really encouraging stories come back to us.
Could you tell us a little more about like the programs? And is it just like classes where there's other musicians, or is there also one-on-one coaching?
Yeah, we do a monthly membership called Fast Forward, and it's really just to help you accelerate. I think a lot of musicians are so busy, disjointed, running from task to task, thing to thing, gig to gig. So Fast Forward is a monthly membership. We have group calls and a Slack channel for community and accountability. People come in, they write their goals. What are they working on? What's the priority? What's the thing that has to get done in the next 2 weeks? And then we talk about it. That's an ongoing monthly membership. Then we also have 2 separate masterminds, one 6 weeks and one is 12 weeks. The 6 week is called a sprint. And it's really a project that you have been thinking about for a long time that you need to get done. Like you need to release the album, or you need to make your website, or you need to apply for your grant funding. And you've been putting it off because usually we have a lot of really urgent things that we need to do in our lives. And the important things kind of get pushed back and back and back. So that program is to really help you, like, okay, we're going to make a plan. We're going to see you through. We're going to sprint with you right to the end and cross the finish line. And then the mastermind goes really deep. So it's really for these bigger conversations about, the direction of the freelance music world, a music entrepreneur, content creation, building a fan base, how to find your people. We talk about things like habits, your finances, the business side of music. And that, again, is like accountability and structure for someone for 3 months to really make a huge amount of progress in that short time, surrounded by classical musicians.
What business advice would you give to a young musician?
What comes to mind first is to take yourself seriously. So a lot of musicians, I think the mindset is the first most important thing, that they think, who am I to do this? I'm not good enough. I'm not ready. I don't know who I am as an artist. It's like, yeah, but all of those things will become developed as you go. So the important thing is to start and to find people and to not take it so seriously. I just contradicted myself, but what I mean is in the content that you share, don't overthink things. Don't worry about if the lighting is perfect and if the sound is perfect. It's just important that you get started in that. And at the same time, taking yourself seriously that I am an artist and I have something to say and here it is. I'm going to allow people to find me. I'm going to share my practicing. I'm going to talk to people and network and meet people because, you know, the meeting of the minds is where you get your inspiration and your passion from. So yeah, I think those two things.
Name one thing that every musician should know about building a career.
That it will be hard. I want to say, but that I think the most important thing is to have a support network, that you have your people that you go to when it's hard. It shouldn't be easy. We're doing something new. I think there's this, you know, like a myth that whenever you do something, it should be easy. And if it's hard, then it's wrong. And it's like, no, sometimes it's hard and it should be hard because you're doing something new. You're digging in ground that has never been plowed before. So why would it be easy? You know, you're trying to make classical music accessible to new audiences. You're trying to practice hours a day on your own and then find people who will come to your concerts. You're trying to create content and do tech things that you never learned about in school. Why would it be easy? So I think that's a common mindset that I would like to see shifted. It's okay that it's hard. It's good that it's hard because it means that you're growing.
I just thought about something like for recording your album, did you go to a studio or do you have a home studio?
I do have a home studio where I did the demo tracks, but then I went to my producer's studio, which was just in town, and he had like the whole setup with his fancy speakers and monitors and mics and stuff. But when I did have to make him a demo, I did it at home with my, I have like a little setup here. So that was also something that I learned during the pandemic. I had no idea how to record. And now I have a basic understanding of GarageBand and I can make a track on top of each other and sing along to my playing, which is really cool.
Lastly, if you could give one advice to another musician or artist, what would it be?
I think a lot of musicians think too small. So I would say dream big. What gives you energy? What brings you joy? Work in that direction. And when you're dreaming, I think you have to take off limitations because I've learned that there are people out there who want to help you and support you who are non-musicians and therefore they have access to funds, private donors. People are inspired by us. They're inspired by art. They're inspired by seeing young people try to make a difference in the world, and they're willing to, you know, I have people who offer me time and resources and network and bring me to events and take me places, doors open that I couldn't open myself because they are excited about the things that I share. And so I think dreaming big and knowing that there are people out there who will believe in you, and you don't need everyone to believe in you, you just need a couple people, can really open things up for you.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Michelle. It means the word to me that you agreed to talk with me.
Thanks so much for having me. It's been really a pleasure to chat with you.
Thank you.